We're going to finish Daniel chapter 7 and then quickly get into chapter 8 tonight if you want to start turning over there. If you're following along in notes, I don't know how many. Jennifer put extra copies out there and they all got taken, so I think a lot of y'all are following in your notes. But what we covered in the vision of Daniel, we covered 4 different beasts, and we covered how Daniel talked about it, then we talked about the interpretation. But tonight we are now going to get into the 5th kingdom. What is always the 5th kingdom? God's kingdom, the church. So let's look at that. Verse 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven there came one like a son of man. And he came to the Ancient of Days and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all the peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. All right, so let's start there. Our left column, the first thing that you notice is one like the Son of Man. Now for interpretation, let's go to verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. Now, for my interpretation, who is described as the Son of Man during the church age? That's right. That's Jesus, actually his favorite self-description. He uses it the most often out of all descriptions of himself. So Daniel is talking about Jesus here. I saw one like the Son of Man. The second thing he mentions is the Ancient of Days. For that, we're still around verse 18. But the saints of the Most High, that's the same description. Both of those are the same. Ancient of Days and Most High is who? Who is Ancient of Days? Who is from long ago? Yes, all of y'all are correct. I heard Jesus and I heard God. Yeah, God. God is the Ancient of Days. He is the Most High. And you might put in your extra notes there, Revelation 4 and 5 speak of the divine throne room. And we're experiencing something similar here in Daniel. That divine throne room of where God lives eternally. Then the next thing he mentions, let's keep reading. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away. Okay, so he was given power over all the nations. Now, who is this? When is this? Let's start off with, if you don't answer me quickly, I'm going to give you clues. Let's start off with when it was not. What was one of Jesus' temptations that Satan offered him? All the kingdoms of the earth. So we know that it was not during his 3 years of ministry here on earth, because Satan was offering at that time. If he already had it at that time, it wouldn't have been a temptation. So when did Jesus get dominion over all the nations? That's right. After he ascended back into heaven, after his death, burial, and resurrection. And thousands upon thousands means he has a universal rule. It's a huge number. I hate to emphasize things too much because we're changing cultures constantly in Daniel. So I don't know this is a fact about every culture, but a lot of ancient cultures, thousands was one of your biggest numbers, or 10,000. And so when you say thousands upon thousands, it's just saying as big as can be imagined. And then in that reading, it says that he was given a kingdom, and his kingdom shall not be destroyed. When was Jesus given a kingdom? Yep. Arthur? After he ascended back to heaven. Yea, at the maximum 10 days later at Pentecost, when the first church started in Acts chapter 2. And that kingdom will last how long? Forever. It says it shall not pass away. There will be no end of the church. There will only be a changing of the church, because the church is eternal. And so this is different, and he always puts it there at the end of the 5 kingdoms to show that all those other kingdoms, they come and they go. They come and they go. And every time the reason why they go is because the next kingdom takes them over. But the church kingdom will take over all those kingdoms, but it will never go away. So that's what makes it so different. And let's see if there was one more thing here. There's nothing left there in the original dream, but let's go to the interpretation now. I'm looking around about verse 22-ish. The Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given for the saints of the Most High, and the time came when the saints possessed the kingdom. Let's continue on, maybe about verse 25 again. And speak the words against the Most High, he shall wear out the saints of the Most High. So this guy's picking on the Lord's church. Verse 26, but the court shall sit in judgment, and his dominion shall be taken away to be consumed and destroyed to the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of kingdoms under the whole earth shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. His kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. And one of the phrases I was looking for specifically there was, the books are opened for judgment. And I didn't find that really quickly, but it's in there. Oh, now I see it. Verse 10. The court sat in judgment, and the books were opened. Now, for further interpretation, because Daniel doesn't really give us much interpretation other than what we just read, which is judgment. What can you think of for further interpretation, now that we have the knowledge of the New Testament, about books being opened for judgment? When might that be? Okay. David, I love that you answered. I just didn't hear you. Go ahead. The great white throne judgment, the end of time judgment. I want us to think of that, such as Revelation chapter 20, verses 11 to 15. Now, you have to understand, in the Old Testament, he could be talking about specifically that country's judgment when they are destroyed. But we're also got a lot of Messiah in chapter 7, so I wouldn't take away that it couldn't be end of time judgment on the great white throne. Here's your takeaway verse, a thought for this whole chapter. God will prevail over all beasts, and no one will forever hurt his people. There will be lots of nations and lots of countries and lots of people that will hurt us, but they will only be for a time. His nation will last forever. So no one will be able to hurt us. No nation will hurt us forever. So that's the major takeaway of chapter 7. Any questions? Yes, sir. Good.
How did it come about that Satan, the kingdom of the earth, Satan give away anyway?
Oh, okay. Good question. How did it come about that the kingdoms of the earth were Satan's to give away anyways? Any thoughts on that, Arthur? Ah, good thought. Yeah, it could just be a trick and a lie. David, what were your thoughts? Okay? When we gave it to him, when we gave the nations over to him. Instead of sticking with God, we gave ourselves to him. Anyone else? I would say, yeah, go ahead.
The delusion that they were under his control.
Yeah. The delusion they were under his control. G? Yes. Yes. So when he was cast down, he was given authority over the earth. Satan has limited authority, but he does have some authority right now over the world. It is just for a short time, but yes, he does have some authority right now. And it's only authority as long as God allows it. Yes.
He only has authority if we allow it.
That's true.
Not do anything to us that we won't allow. He can't possess.
Yeah.
Cause us.
Will you get the other side? Thank you. But he was given it. Okay. All right. Our homework for chapter 8, and if you didn't already start that, it's okay. You can do it this week. Actually, you get 2 weeks, because this next week is going to be our Thanksgiving singing night, or whatever we typically do there. But our homework is to either memorize Daniel chapter 8, verses 20 to 22, or just what each one of those major things represent. If you don't want to memorize the verses, you could just memorize the facts. 2 ram's horns, Media, Persia. Goat, Greece. Goat's large horn, 1st king. Goat's 4 small horns, 4 kings. So you could either memorize the verses or just memorize the facts from those verses. Read the chapter and outline it. Those are the 3 things for... Oh, no, there's more. There's a 2nd page. This week has more homework. Go from chapter 7, fill in your master chart. That will help you if you keep filling in that master chart as we go. And if you choose to draw the goat and the ram, make it on something computer sheet or smaller and give it to me so I can add it to my PowerPoint. That would be great. So if you're an artist, I would love that. Okay. All right, let's begin chapter 8. We're going to start off just by generally reading most of this. Then we'll fill in the 3 different sections: Daniel's vision, Daniel's interpretation, further interpretation. If you want to know where we're going to be heading in the further interpretation, and we may not get there completely tonight, the works of Josephus will help us with our further interpretation, and the Apocrypha, which I knew I had a copy. It took me forever to find it. If you have a Bible that has an Apocrypha, that will help us with a further interpretation, because it was during the time between the Old and New Testament. Those books that are not part of God's Word do help because they have history. And so that's what we're going to look at, is history. So our objectives for chapter 8. The student should understand the 2 animals and know which direction they came from. And number 2, the student should understand the 4 nations represented here. Okay, let's start off with, in general, what are our 5 kingdoms? Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greek, Roman, gods. Okay. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared to me. Daniel. Okay. Time period. Which kingdom are we sitting in? Babylonian. Okay. So he could start us at Babylonian with this chapter, and we have 4 or 5 there. Or he could start us at the next kingdom. What would be the next kingdom? Medo-Persia, okay? So that time period already helps you know where we might be. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared to me, Daniel, after that which appeared to me at the first. And I saw in the vision, and when I saw, I was in Susa, the citadel, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in the vision, and I was at Uel, the canal. I raised my eyes and saw, and behold, a ram standing on the bank of the canal. Okay, this already helps us. What canal? The one he was at. Uel, however you say it. So that kind of tells you this enemy that's going to be approaching is coming from that direction. It had 2 horns. Okay, we're going to pause there before I even give you anything. We're going to do, y'all are helping me. Chapter 7, y'all interpreted almost the whole thing without me helping you. That's the point. You're getting to where you understand this without even looking at history, because you've memorized the 5 kingdoms. So the first thing we hear is 2. What did he say? A ram, behold, a ram standing, and it had 2 horns. What do we always mention 2 about? Which kingdom is 2? Medo-Persia, because it's 2 kingdoms. So you've already got a clue right there where we're talking about before we even go into it. And I raised my eyes and saw, behold, a ram standing on the bank of the canal. It had 2 horns, and both horns were high, but one was higher than the other. Have we not noticed that over and over with Medo-Persia? Exactly, standing on one leg, because one leg was longer than the other. I saw the ram charging westward and northward and southward. No beast could stand before him, and there was no one who could rescue from his power. He did as he pleased and became great. As I was considering, behold, a male goat came from the west across the whole earth. What's next after Medo-Persia? Greece. And the goat was not touching the ground, without touching the ground, and the goat had a conspicuous horn between his eyes. He came to the ram with his 2 horns, which I had seen standing on the bank of the canal, and he ran at him in his powerful wrath. I saw him close to the ram, and he was enraged against him, and struck the ram, broke his 2 horns, and the ram had no power to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground and trampled on him, and there was no one who could rescue the ram from his power. And the goat became exceedingly great, but when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and instead of it, there came up 4 conspicuous horns toward the 4 winds of heaven. Out of one of them came a little horn, which grew exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, towards the glorious land. It was great, even as the host of heaven. And some of the host and some of the stars threw down to the ground and trampled on them. It became great, even as great as the prince of the host. And the regular burnt offering was taken away from him, and the place of his sanctuary was overthrown. And a host was given over to it together with the regular burnt offering because of transgression. And it will throw truth to the ground, and it will act and prosper. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to the one who spoke, "For how long is the vision concerning the regular burnt offering, the transgression that makes desolate, and the giving over of the sanctuary and host to be trampled underfoot?" And he said to me, 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the sanctuary shall be restored to its rightful place. Okay. So let's fill in the left-hand side, and actually, y'all don't have anything to fill in. I helped y'all out a ton this week. Maybe intentionally, maybe not intentionally. I didn't have any of these notes. The last time I taught this, I don't know. I guess maybe I just taught off the top of my head. So I typed all this today, so you don't have very many fill in the blanks. Daniel's vision. What's the first animal? A ram. Okay. I want you to notice we're still under... oh, I forgot I'm front and back. We got a lot of pages this time. Okay. What's the next animal? A goat. Now, The next section is still the goat, but I made it its own section, and that's the horns of the goat. Okay? And then the final section I made is the time period. What was the time period? He asked, "How long shall this last?" And he was given an answer. What was the time period? You're getting close. 2,300 evenings and mornings. Now I'm going to give you a clue for interpretation, where we're going to go with that later. Think about Genesis chapter 1. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. There was evening and there was morning the second day. So 2,300 days. You could say it that way. Okay. Now, if before we get to interpretation, if Harley starts wanting to run those numbers, how many 2,300 days is, you can get started on that. It is 6 1/3 years. Okay, and that was in chapter, what was that, the last chapter? I can't remember now. The 70. Good idea. So that's a good idea. 70 years of exile. Okay? Because right now we haven't got into any interpretation. We're just trying to figure it out on our own. So anyone else got an idea what it could be? All right, well, how long did I say it was, if you make it into years? 6 1/3 years. So what is 6 1/3 not? What is 6.33 not? It's not 7, right? So we know it's not a complete amount of time. It would be 7, like 70 years of captivity, or the 70 weeks that we talk about in Daniel. A week is 7. So it's not 7. So that shows you what is. Okay, let's go to Revelation in your mind. Before we get into any interpretation, I'm letting y'all help me. What is 666? The mark of the beast. And what did it mean, though? Ooh. What'd you say? 6 is, okay, 6 is, good try. Okay, anyone else? What is 6 compared to 7? Less, that's right. And so in the book of Revelation, every time there's a 6, it was describing something like Satan, who is a liar, who is a tricker, who is false. Anytime there's a 6, it is a physical or a satanic, where it is pretending to be God, and it is not. It's acting like it's 7, but it's not 7. So 666 is fake, fake, fake. Not complete, not complete, not complete. Imperfect. It's an imperfect number. So 6 3 months, we already know is going to be an imperfect number, which means it's not going to be something godly that's happening, right? Now, we're not into what it is yet, but we're going to get there later. But those are just things we already know from prophecy interpretation. Now, when we get to it, hopefully in a couple weeks, there is an actual thing that happened after this many days in history. So it's got a prophetic meaning, as in 6 is not 7. but it actually could have a literal meaning too, because at around 6.5 years, about 6 years, 5-6 months, something important did happen. So it could be giving us a literal number too. All right, so there's the things we saw in the vision. Now let's go to the interpretation. Let's start reading there. Verse 15. When I, Daniel, had seen the vision, I sought to understand it, and behold, there stood before me one having the appearance of a man. Who was that in the last chapter? The Son of Man was Jesus. So you wouldn't be over-assuming to think this could be Jesus, but let's read. The next verse will tell us. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, and it called, Gabriel, make this man understand the vision. This one that sounds like a man is able to command an angel what to do. Who might that be? Who could command angels? Yeah. God, Jesus. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was frightened and fell on my face, but he said to me, understand, O Son of Man, that the vision is for the time of the end. Now he's calling Daniel the Son of Man. And when he had spoken to me, I fell into a deep sleep, my face to the ground, but he touched me and made me stand up. He said, behold, I will make known to you what shall be at the latter end of the indignation, for it refers to the appointed time of the end. As for the ram that you saw with the 2 horns, these are the kings of Media and Persia. You guys did right. Y'all guessed right, didn't you? 2, Media and Persia. The goat is the king of Greece. And the great horn between his eyes is the first king. Before I get into any interpretation, let's see if y'all know. Who is the first king of Greece? Anyone know? Okay. Alexander. As for the horn that was broken in its place, of which 4 others arose, 4 kingdoms shall arise from his nation, but not with his power. And at the latter end of their kingdom, when the transgressors have reached their limit, a king of bold face, one who understands riddles, shall arise. His power shall be great, but not by his own power. And he shall cause fearful destruction, and shall succeed in what he does, and destroy mighty men and the people who are the saints. Who's the saints? Okay. Today it's the church. In the Old Testament, it's Israel, God's people. Throughout time, it's the righteous of God, right? The righteous people. By his cunning he shall make deceit prosper under his hand, and in his own mind he shall become great. Without warning he shall destroy many, and he shall even rise up against the prince of princes. Who do you think that is? Who's the prince of princes? Jesus. And he shall be broken, but by no human hand. The vision of the evenings and the mornings that was told is true, but seal up the vision, for it refers to many days from now. And I'll go ahead and read it in case I forget later, but we're not going to talk about it for a while. And I, Daniel, was overcome and lay sick for some days. Then I arose and went about the king's business, but I was appalled by the vision and did not understand it. Okay, let's go to Daniel's interpretation. So first of all, the ram. Verse 19 and following. Look, I am making known to you what shall happen in the latter time of the indignation. For at the appointed time the end shall be. Now, we have to be careful not to read that sentence different than it's written. What is the time? The appointed time. The latter time, the end shall be. Do not assume that that's saying the end of time, because that's not what it said. It's talking about the end of the time of this kingdom that he's about to talk about. Their time of punishment. Yes, there's a punishment at the great day at the end of time, but any wicked kingdom has a judgment day too when its time is up. That's what he's talking about. The ram which you saw having 2 horns, the kings are Media and Persia. Okay, now we're going to go to further interpretation, my interpretation. The ram represents what kingdom? Mede and Persians. The longer horn is Persia. He said that the second one was bigger than the first one. So what happened was, and we see this even in the book of Daniel, we're introduced to Media and then Persia, but Persia actually becomes bigger than Media. So it's never a balanced kingdom. Even though we call them Media, Persia, they're never balanced. It's always more like this. Media first, but Persia becomes bigger. So the bigger horn is Persia that comes after Media. Daniel chapter 7, verse 5. And behold, another beast, a second one like a bear. It was raised up on one side. Same thoughts here. One horn's longer than the other. Chapter 8, chapter 7, one side of the bear is taller than the other. Verse 20, the ram which you saw having two horns, they are the kings of Media and Persia. And now back to the beginning of the chapter, he talked about that they're going to go in different directions. 3 different directions, right? These horns are going to go in 3 different directions. What were the directions? Okay. What direction does he not mention? Eastward. That's the direction that king is coming from. He's from the east, and he's going to go in every other direction of the earth, attacking. Now let's talk about the horns. I'm sorry, I skipped a page. I keep forgetting I double printed. I should not print on both sides of paper. It confuses me. I'm too old. All right. West, north, south, so that no animal could withstand, is what he said originally. Let's look at chapter 7, verse 5 again. Behold, another beast, a second one like a bear. It was raised up on one side. It had how many ribs? 3 ribs in its mouth. How many directions is its horn going? 3 directions. So it's the repetition of the same thing. And then it says, no one could withstand this animal. Medo-Persia dominated the world for 200 years. History buffs, how long's America been around? 250. So they were controlling the world as long as we've even been around, practically. So they were great. But then a conqueror came, the goat. So let's move to the goat now. The interpretation Daniel gives is verse 21. The male goat is the kingdom of Greece. And notice the goat is coming from the west, verse 5. Well, to the west is 2 places, either Macedonia or Greece. So we already know by him saying it's from the west, it's going to be one of those 2. Then the interpretation he gives us tells us which one of those 2 it is. It's Greece. He says it doesn't touch the ground when it walks. Let's look at chapter 7, verse 6. After this I looked, and behold, another like a leopard, with 4 wings of a bird on its back. What are leopards known for? Speed. And this one even has wings. So in the next chapter, this goat doesn't touch the ground. It is fast. Greece takes over the world quickly, extremely quick. We're going to get to that first king in a minute. His name was Alexander. Alexander the Great conquered the world faster than, I'm going to say this because I don't know a lot of history, but I think faster than any empire has ever conquered. He conquered so fast. And so, that terminology, he never touches the ground. Then it says there's a notable horn. Now we're going to talk about those horns. The male goat, when he became great, he became strong. The large horn was broken. Okay, so we got a large horn, great, strong. Now verse 21. The male goat is the kingdom of Greece. The large horn that is between its eyes is the first king. As for the broken horn, verse 22, and the four that stood up in its place, 4 kingdoms arise out of that nation, but not with its power. So the first king of Greece is Alexander the Great. He comes on in a fury. He takes over the world fastly, but in the same manner, do you know what happened to him? He dies very fast. Alexander the Great died suddenly of a fever in 323 AD or BC at only 33 years old. And so when he has conquered the whole world, dies really young, he doesn't have a good predecessor. He hasn't had time to have a predecessor. So do you know who takes over Greece after Alexander the Great? He gives 4 of his generals control of the world. Well, he doesn't give. He dies. But 4 of his generals take over the world, and they divide up the world into 4 parts. How do you think that's going to go for them? Horrible. And that's not much mentioned in this chapter, but it's been hinted at, I think, in chapter 7. It goes horribly because, chapter 7 had the 4 heads. It's not going to go well to have 4 leaders. They're going to want to fight and take each other's land. That was chapter 7, verse 6. That's where it was. Chapter 7, verse 6. After this I looked, and behold, another leopard with 4 wings of a bird on its back, and the beast had 4 heads. You can imagine a beast with 4 heads. They're going to fight. They're going to attack each other. Okay, next week we're going to start with a little horn that's going to come up. So we're going to start with the little horn next week. I just have the same takeaway. I've been saying the same takeaway for 3 weeks in a row. If you get tired of it, I'm sorry. The takeaway is all kinds of kingdoms will rise and fall, especially ones that will be negative to God, but His kingdom will last forever.